Welcome back to VUDivulged, guys. I'm Ija Chambers.
I'm Blake Erdman.
And I'm Anthony Polkowski. And on today's episode of Frozen Trails, we're going to be talking about Jessica Lynn Masker. She was a 24-year-old single mother of two children who went missing in Indianapolis in 2013 on April 14th. We're reaching the 11th year anniversary, and unfortunately the family doesn't have a clear answer on why she went missing, if anybody was involved in her missing or going missing.
So on April 14, 2013, Jessica was taken to the hospital after a domestic dispute with her boyfriend, who was arrested. This did take place before her disappearance, and then on the 15th, Jessica's aunt dropped her off at her cousin's home. An argument later ensued, leading Jessica to leave and walk to a nearby gas station around 3 a.m. She called her brother, reporting an encounter with two men. She requested a ride, but her brother could not give her a ride, so she called her boyfriend for a ride.
Well, that's a bit odd. She goes missing the day after.
Domestic dispute?
Domestic dispute, yeah. So, and it did say that the boyfriend was convicted, so...
Yeah. Well, it was one of the things that...
Right off the bat, it does sound like, he probably played a part in her disappearance.
I don't know about that exactly. I only say this. Not that it's a good thing at all, but from what they did say, like the family, they said this occurred a lot.
Mm.
So, I don't know what would make this one different. Maybe because he actually got convicted or being charged with something this time.
That or,
could have been motivation for it.
She just, I don't think this one's likely, but there's a possibility that, maybe she got tired of it and went off, but then, and in the attempt that her boyfriend never finds out, she just didn't tell anybody that she was leaving.
She's got two kids,
But she's got two kids, and she left the kids behind, I believe, so I don't think that is a strong possibility.
So around 4:30 a.m. on the same night that all this was going on, she called her boyfriend and informed him that she was at the gas station, and then planned to walk down East Washington Street. And this was the last time she was ever seen or heard from.
Some of her identifying features: she has a few tattoos. She has one of the name Rob on her left wrist, the word Lil on the inside of her right wrist, and a flower on her back, and a tattoo on her upper right arm and shoulder, the name Travis on the back of her neck, and a vine on her right leg. So
around the time of her disappearance, She was 5'2", had hazel eyes, brown hair, and weighed approximately 95 pounds. Now that's pretty...
It's pretty light.
That's pretty light. You don't hear most people...
Well, there might be a good reason why, which we will get to here in a second, which is might be another cause on why she went missing, or at least a theory people have.
Mm-hmm.
She was last seen wearing a red and black jacket with a fur-lined hood, jeans, and gray and pink tennis shoes. 10 years ago. This was...
Yeah, we're in about 3 months. It's going to be in 11 years.
So, like I was saying, like one reason why she probably weighs like 95 pounds, and what some people have theories over is that this could have been a drug deal gone wrong, possibly, because she had a history of over abusing all sorts of medication, things of that nature. And she did go to rehab multiple times. So, police believe that, the police weren't able to find anything would have happened to her. That's why it's still a cold case, because there's no real lead. But some people do believe that has maybe been a reason, like why she went to that gas station. But in the end of the day, no one knows.
And if you think about it, most people when they're in their 20s, most people are usually at least 100 to 120 pounds, that range, give or take. So if she was 95 pounds at the time of her absence or her disappearance, then someone could have, if it was a drug deal gone wrong, someone could easily have overpowered her if you only weigh 94 pounds. That's, most full-grown people can carry that. Maybe not for very long, but, picking it up and moving it wouldn't be that difficult. And, if it was a drug deal gone wrong, don't you think, they would have, found her body? But
There's a lot of unanswered questions in it. It does say that reportedly when she did abuse prescription medicine, and went to rehab 3 times, but every time it's reported that she relapsed. And I remember you saying something about a child being born prematurely with. You want to talk about that?
So from what I said, about 2 months before she disappeared, she did give birth to a drug addicted and premature baby boy, who she did go to the hospital every day to see, as much as possible to see the child. So that also kind of makes me think that she would not just disappeared, just of her own free will. Because obviously, she cared about it very
because
least.
she clearly cared about the child. So it's not like she's going just to leave them behind.
It's just such a hard thing to think about. Truly, the kids are going to be at a loss because their mom's gone, and the only thing they have is her boyfriend, who has a history of abuse. So to be in their situation it's a truly tragic thing for them, and it's even more tragic when you don't know what happened, because they don't know if she's dead or alive. They have no answers for that.
And you would think after 11 years there would be something. Maybe. If she truly cared about the kid, if she truly did go missing, then you think after 11 years she would have at least attempted to call and just, at least tell the family, or at least, kids, because her kids are, her youngest is now going to be 11 soon. So you would think after this amount of time that she would have called and been like, hey, I'm still all right. I'm all right, or here's where I am. But since she hasn't called back, it probably does look to be a murder case.
That's what that's her family also agrees that there was some foul play. The police, from when they did the initial investigation, said there was no foul play found, involved. Of course, family disagrees, other people disagree. It was just brought up
because even the family says that that she rarely goes 5 days without talking to somebody in her family, even if it's just a quick, text or phone call. So for her to go 11 years and not speak to anybody is just out of character for her. A GoFundMe campaign was started in 2021, aimed to raise funds for a reward in hoping of solving the open missing persons case. Which I don't really know how to feel about that, because it's I would think people would turn over information they have out of the goodness of their heart willingly
without the need for incentive.
Without need for an incentive.
It's a hard thing for those investigators and for the family, and even for us to try to really come up with a good answer. That's why they're cold cases. Honestly, they are incredibly difficult. There is so little information to go off of.
Because that's why they go cold. Because it's, I believe we kind of touched upon it in a previous episode where if you murder somebody in their house, or if you just walking into somebody's house, you leave tons of evidence behind. Your hairs are constantly falling out and growing. You have skin cells. If you touch anything, your fingerprints are going to get left behind, possibly shoe prints. So, but since she's been missing, that means that they haven't even found her body if she has been killed. And because of that, since they don't know that, since they haven't found the body, there's no evidence that they can get off her body to find out possibly where it's been, or who's been in contact with her.
Honestly, I just don't. This happened in Indianapolis, and like I said, she just disappeared. So I don't. There had been more to it, this whole situation, because it's Indianapolis. No one saw anything.
Yeah, if it was in the middle of like a farmer out in the country, you could somewhat understand that maybe there's not a whole lot of information and nobody really saw anything. It's because the houses are miles apart, but this is a massive metropolitan area, So you would think somebody somewhere saw something, possibly saw her.
Especially now when the family has been organizing vigils and they try to maintain their public awareness. They started a GoFundMe. They're doing all these things that are trying to help them, trying to help get her name out there and be like, what did anybody see anything on this night? Specifically on it's East Washington Street.
And
right?
based on my research, there was at least one news article every year on the year of, hey, we're still looking for her. Now, maybe somebody who did know something forgot after 10 years. That one little piece of information.
The one thing that they saw that night that might have just been out of the corner of their eye.
Yeah, but then they didn't hear about her case for 3 years, and then at that point
Gone.
it's gone. And then, well, also, if you said, well, I saw a white truck, well, that was 3 years ago. That truck could be anywhere.
Like, I get it was like late. It was like, what, 4:30 was the last time she had any communications with anyone? Like, I get it. It's pretty early, it's early in the day, of course. But, like, I just looked at pictures of that street. It's not like a street to where it's like there's nothing around. Like, there are buildings everywhere. So I don't, what I mean? It's just one thing, like, someone had to see something.
Where's the security footage, too?
But, yeah.
If we're talking about, I'm looking at the same pictures. We're talking about traffic lights. We're talking about residential buildings and commercial buildings. It looks almost like a courthouse there, too. I'm not sure if that's entirely correct, but, places that would have these things. So either they've pulled up the footage and they don't see her, so she might not have gone down East Washington Street as far as we think she did.
And you also have to keep in mind, even if there was security footage, this is security footage from 10 years ago. And since she was out at 4:30 in the morning, maybe those cameras did see her, but since it was just so dark, they couldn't see anything or get enough information, or maybe it was too blurry. But based on how the evidence is sounding in the case, they haven't mentioned anything about security footage. So she could have also just been in an area where, unfortunately, no one had security cameras.
Or she just went, like you were just saying, she went down a completely different street than what people thought. Or she took a turn somewhere and just
It's gone.
Because, and that's a great, one thing with security cameras is, like, you can get where they were at a certain time, but the moment they turn a corner and they go somewhere where there is no camera,
Gone.
they could have been, they could be anywhere. And especially in a city as big as Indianapolis, right? This ain't, the local town where, well, the only thing in that direction is town church. It's, you're in the middle of a city. You turn down that street. You could
Take a left, take a right, walk 16 miles, still be in the same city.
And you could be anywhere. So I think it's, and especially, as I said before, since we don't have a body, we really don't have an area to look at, because yes, we have where she was at 4:30 that night, but since they don't even know her time of death, all they know is she's gone missing. She could have been anywhere. She could have gotten a car or a taxi, tried to drive somewhere, got a ride. One thing that was noted was the boyfriend has been not very cooperative with police, and that's another reason why he is the prime suspect in the case, is because, one, he was abusive, and now he's not really saying anything, not really wanting to talk to police. It throws more and more suspicion onto him.
And he would, just from what it said, he would have been the last person to talk to her and know where she was for however long they figured out she was missing. You know what I mean? So
It does make me wonder if the boyfriend has a car, because how long would it take him to get to East Washington Street from wherever he was to put that to thought, which is might just be why they had this conversation where they were like, this could be him, but without any solid proof, it's kind of a difficult thing to.
Do we know when she was reported missing?
Does not say.
Because, if it took a week for anybody, I highly doubt it did, but if it took a week to report her missing, she could be anywhere in the country. Because I believe I believe you can. I believe from like Arizona to Florida, it's like 36 hours nonstop driving.
I think on the same day as when she was reported missing.
Same day.
Yeah, of course, it doesn't say what time the report came in, but I think it says she went missing the 15th, and then April 15th, and that's when she texted her boyfriend and brother.
So it would have been the same day, but you know,
Obviously, what time?
But you know, if it took 4 hours, she could have. If it was the boyfriend, he could go out her in a car, then drove 4 hours away, and by the time they started looking, they were long gone.
We actually do have locations. According to Uncover.com, they have her case as well as her timeline. So they have the approximate location of where her cousin's house was, which is between Wallace Avenue and North DeQuincy Street. And then the connecting road, obviously, here is Washington Street, which she walked, what do you think that is, maybe a quarter of a mile stretch?
Around there, yeah.
Yep. Quarter of a mile stretch to the location where she was last seen at a BP gas station on the corner of East 21st Street and Emerson Avenue. So from there, there's so much. There's huge residential areas, there's schools, there's theaters. Just going that direction, there's a brewing place, some Mexican restaurants. There's a lot of places that she could have gone just on Washington Street, but that doesn't count in Emerson or Julian or Hawthorne, just these other places that are super. This place is massive. This is a huge residential area where it's almost going to be impossible to have.
We're in the span of 15 minutes. You could be anywhere.
Yeah, that's. This is a lot of housing, so that's why there wouldn't be a lot of security footage. Anything past that would be a lot of housing. So, some quick notes about Jessica from the Charlie Project, which is a project that goes over missing cases. They have some pictures of our tattoos. It's charlieproject.org, and then case Jessica Lynn Masker. It does say that she is deaf in one of her ears. Her nicknames include Jess and Jessie, and she is a white or Caucasian, brown hair, hazel eyes, with tattoos all over her body. Lil on the inside of her right wrist, like you said. Rob on her left wrist. Travis on her back and back of her neck, and a large flower. And that's really all we have to go off of for that. So the tattoos are our main thing.
That right now, yeah. Especially after this long, that would be the main identifier. Because after 11 years, if she's still alive, that's enough time for physical changes. But hopefully those tattoos somebody will go, hey, I recognize that tattoo. I wonder if she has that tattoo too. Maybe we could look into it. Or, maybe call the police and say, hey, I think this might be so-and-so. You might want to come and take a look.
And again, any and all tips should be reported to the Indianapolis Police or the investigative detective, whose number we currently do not have.
You could also contact the Missing Persons Unit or the Crime Stoppers of Central Indiana. All right, well, that's going to do it for today's episode. As always, we will keep you posted should more information come out, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Thanks so much.